You know, they always say it's not alcoholism until after college. College is like the excuse to binge drink. You know, you go out, you know, you do whatever, and then, you know, you do it several times a week, and and everyone jokes, we all joke, you know, oh, we're such alcoholics because, you know, we're drinking, you know, 5 times a week, or we're drinking every day, and we're drinking so much, and oh, we're all alcoholics, we're all alcoholics. You're not. You're not an alcoholic.
Alcoholism is a serious problem affecting society. 2 theories which have been proposed as a cause for the problem include the disease and the social learning theory. According to the social learning theory, young adults can acquire the behavior of drinking at an early age from their parent and from their social circle at a later age. When young adults observe drinking behavior and the actions of drinkers, they become attracted to the behavior, especially when the behavior was associated with stress relief, fun, comfort, and a feeling of rush. According to the disease model theory, alcoholism is a chronic disease which can run in family and progressively take hold of a person. Symptoms of alcoholism include constant craving, tolerance, physical dependence, and lack of control for alcoholism.
Across the years, what we have found is the data are actually indicating to us that the peak age of developing alcoholism is ages 18 to 24. Alcohol use and things like binge drinking during adolescence actually impair specific brain regions. And these brain regions, a lot of times, they're not repaired across time. Women drink a lot more than what they used to. And there have been trends across the years towards an earlier onset of drinking, heavier onset of drinking. And furthermore, we now have very solid data to indicate that what the risk is for early onset drinking. So kids who begin drinking before age 14 have on the order of a 6 to 7 times the risk of developing a full alcohol dependence or alcoholism disorder than those who wait until after that period of time. We know for some people, high exposure to stressors, whether that can be related to jobs, it can be related to interpersonal relationships, problems with spouses and so forth, may precipitate conditions that they have very difficult times dealing with that. They may not have the social support of other friends and family members to deal with that. They may not have the personal resources to deal with that. And there may be genetic influences that impact who's more likely to assume drinking under those conditions than other conditions. You're going to have those triggers. None of us live free of stressors. But the question becomes, what do you do about them, and how do you provide more constructive ways of dealing with those than reverting to escalating levels of alcohol use to address those kinds of problems, which of course in the long run don't address them anyhow. Basically, try to establish a sense of coherent messaging. The same message is not going to work for all kids. And those kids who do have difficulties, you need to provide appropriate counseling and referral sources so that those kids who do have difficulties have a means of trying to address that rather than having to deal with it on their own. And as a society, we have not done well in terms of providing health resources for kids who have alcohol problems.
Alcohol is the most widely used substance of abuse among America's youth. Adolescence is a time of heightened risk-taking, independence seeking, and experimentation. During this period, alcohol can present a special attraction to some adolescents for social, genetic, psychological, and cultural reasons. This attraction occurs at the very time adolescents may not be fully prepared to understand the effect of drinking alcohol nor the consequences. Alcohol use is an age-related phenomenon. The percentage of the population who have had at least one whole drink rises steeply during adolescence. Adolescents drink less frequently than adults, but when they do drink, they drink more heavily than adults. Adolescent males generally report more alcohol than adolescent females. Adolescent males also tend to start drinking at an early age than girls, drink more frequently, and are more likely to binge drink. Alcohol is a part of Western society, and the majority of Americans enjoy alcohol beverages. To pretend that young people will grow up to enter a world of abstinence is both unrealistic and irresponsible. Even religious groups strongly committed to abstinence are not very successful in maintaining it among their young people, the majority of whom drink. Alcohol abuse is a significant problem among young people, and a solution needs to be found. A person who begins drinking as a young teen is 4 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence than someone who waits until adulthood to use alcohol. During adolescence, significant changes occur in the body, including the formation of the new networks in the brain. Alcohol use during this time may affect brain development. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death among young age 15 to 20, and the rate of fatal crashes among alcohol-involved drivers between 16 and 20 years old is more than twice the rate for alcohol-involved drivers 21 and older. Alcohol use also is linked with youthful deaths by drowning, suicide, and homicide. Alcohol use is associated with many adolescent risk behavior, including other drug use and delinquency, weapon carrying and fighting, and perpetrating or being the victim of the date rape.
When thinking about the brain and how it relates to foreign substances, we have to realize that the brain automatically produces endorphins. When we start to use alcohol or other substances, our brain does not produce as many endorphins, and so we have to drink more or use more in order to reach the same desired effect. When we think about emerging adults developing problems with alcohol, we have to examine the factors that make them overindulge. One factor is the gene that researchers have isolated called the OPRM1. This gene is said to cause excessive drinking and may be passed down from parents. Another factor in emerging adult alcoholism is parents who engage in excessive drinking are more likely to have children who have problems with alcoholism. When thinking about the psychological aspect of emerging adult alcoholism, what we have to take into account is the parental involvement. Parents who have a more positive, open, and honest relationship with their children are more apt to give positive anti-alcoholic messages than parents who are participating in negative behaviors, engaging in alcohol abuse, or who do not have trusting relationships with their children. It has been said that emerging adults are sensation seeking and don't see negative consequences for drinking, so they drink more often and for longer periods of time. Another thing we have to take into account is media representation of alcohol in advertising. It has been proven that children who are exposed to seeing alcohol used on a daily basis are more apt to abuse alcohol themselves.
Did you know that 69% of primetime TV programs have scenes of alcohol use?
That's about 4 hours. And 1 week, if Kavika watches 1 hour of TV a day, she'll see this many pictures of alcohol.
Cultural factors which contribute to adult alcoholism problems include delaying traditional practices, college life, the media, and social networking. Delaying traditional practices such as marriage makes young adults less responsible and easier to engage in risky behavior such as binge drinking. College life is another trigger for alcoholism. At college, young adults get introduced to new hobbies and interests by the new friends and people they meet on campus. Finally, the media and social networks such as Facebook and Instagram are another forms of culture which increase the problem of alcoholism for young adults. In the media, ads which show risky behavior attract the young developing brains and give them a sense of immediate gratification or feeling of rush and social status. On Facebook and Instagram, young adults are constantly bombarded with pictures of their peers partying and having fun with alcohol. These pictures are the most liked and commented on. Therefore, as a result, the young adult get the message that drinking is cool.
Alcoholism is a family disease. Many families have a tendency to feel they must protect the alcoholic member by helping them hide their addiction. This leads to dysfunctional family roles and can severely hinder a child's perception of what's appropriate when it comes to alcohol. Families affect children's alcohol use behaviors in a number of ways. Family modeling of alcohol using behaviors and parental attitudes towards children's alcohol use are family influences related specifically to the risk of alcohol dependency. Poor parenting practices, high levels of conflict in the family, and a low degree of bonding between children and parents increase the risk for adolescent alcohol abuse. The risks are even higher if there is a parental and sibling alcoholism present in the family. The initiation of alcohol use and abuse in children are often associated with the lack of maternal involvement, a lack of or inconsistent parental discipline, and low parental education aspirations for the child. As social workers, we should be fully aware of and compliant with the ethical guidelines and concerns related to the treatment and prevention of alcohol use disorders. As social workers, we should provide services to clients only in the context of a professional relationship based on valid informed consent. We should use clear and understandable language to inform clients of the purposes of the services, risk related to the services, reasonable alternatives, and the client's right to refuse or withdraw consent. Adolescent clients receiving treatment are not only protected by confidentiality guidelines of the NASW, but they are also protected by confidentiality laws that are implemented by the federal and state governments. Adolescent clients have a different set of issues regarding the release of information. When an adolescent is in need of treatment, the adolescent and their guardian both usually consent to treatment. Although adolescents have signed into treatment, they may not want some information released to their guardian. School districts, after referring an adolescent to a drug program, often want proof that the student has attended the program before allowing them to return to school. However, confidentiality laws protect adolescents by giving them the individual right to consent to what information is shared with their parents in school.